Prayer is simply communicating with God, listening and talking to Him. People travel as it gives them space for thought, a chance to explore the world and to share a communal experience on the road which can change so many things in their lives. Let's go on a journey of God's beautiful creation and a silent conversation with Him. Lisbon. Here in the quaint old city of Lisbon with its steep hills, you can find the church dedicated to Saint Anthony. Saint Anthony of Padua was originally from Lisbon, Portugal. Located in the Alfama region of the city, it is still the same with its winding cobblestone streets and magnificent old buildings around it. The symbols and meaning of Saint Anthony includes lily, bread, book, Franciscan habit, youth, the flame, and his vision of baby Jesus. The Franciscan habit is a reminder of the Franciscan order. Youth is connected to the image of Saint Anthony as pure, good, and receptive to anyone. The flame represents Anthony's love for God and his neighbor. The baby Jesus is reminiscent of the vision that Anthony had in Campo Samperio. It also expresses his attachment to the humanity of Christ and his closeness to God. Fatima. Shepherd Children House. The three shepherd children lived in a small house with bare minimum necessities. In the harsh Serra da mountain region of Portugal, a rocky peasant farming area that seemed like Palestine in the time of Jesus Christ than it did in the bustling city of Lisbon. En route to the sanctuary, we can see the spectacular view of the hills covered with greenery and beautiful landscapes that are breathtaking. Sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima. One of the largest Marian shrines in the world, which motivates the faithful into an acceptance of divine faith. The message of Fatima consists of precise predictions, requests, warnings and promises concerning the faith and the world, conveyed by the Blessed Virgin Mary to the three shepherd children, Lucia, Jacinta and Francisco, in a series of apparitions at Fatima between May 13th and October 13th, 1917. The Fatima miracle made the popes recognize the message as authentic. The crowd waves white handkerchiefs to welcome Our Lady of Fatima. Men and women are seen crawling on their knees, painfully pushing their ways through the dense crowds to have their rosaries touch the foot of the statue. It is also called the deposit of faith that ended with the death of the last apostle. Madrid. The Almudena Cathedral is unique with modern beauty and its sheer size. The bright interior of the cathedral is in the Gothic style, but modern and modest compared to most Spanish cathedrals. The first royal event took place in this cathedral, which was the sumptuous wedding of Prince Felipe and Donna Letizia in May 2004. The Royal Palace. It is the official residence of the Spanish royal family used for state ceremonies. There's a lot going on in the streets and squares of Madrid. Streets like Gran Via, Paseo del Prado, Cal Mayor and Cal de Alcalá liberally brim with people shopping, sightseeing and chatting in outdoor cafes. The biggest square in Madrid, situated in the very center of the city and called Plaza Puerta del Sol, has the statue of King Carlos III. Bullfight Arena. The arena is incredible to look at with the amazing architecture of the place. The plaza is filled with statues and monuments to bullfighters that show the sentimental feeling towards it. En route to Lourdes, we passed through Burgos, which has a large number of churches, palaces and other buildings from the medieval age which are eye-catching. Lourdes. It is a large town in the French Pyrenees. It is a global center of Marian pilgrimage. Catholics believe that the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, appeared 18 times at the grotto to a young girl. Bernadette heard a sound that sounded like a gust of wind, and she saw a light. She saw a small girl dressed in white with a blue belt, a yellow rose on each foot, and rosary beads on her arm. It was the Blessed Virgin Mary. The spring water from grotto is believed to possess healing properties, and the Roman Catholic Church occasionally officially recognizes miraculous healings. Faithful pilgrims, especially those in need of healing, flock to the grotto of Massabielle to immerse themselves. In the grotto's 17 pools, 6 for men and 11 for women. Basilica of St. Pius X. The meaning of life is in the inspired words of Jesus. Whoever wishes to be my follower must deny his very self, take up his cross each day and follow in my steps. The purpose of life is to remain faithful and dedicated to the calling of God. The large basilica is entirely underground. For this reason, it is often known as the underground basilica. This is one of the largest places of worship in the world. Its 6 entrances facilitate the flow of pilgrims. The structure of the interior architecture is made up of 58 small overturned V-shaped arches that support the ceiling backbone and the long concrete beam. The center of the basilica is dominated by a large square altar. Its oval shape has been linked to a fish or a grain of wheat, traditional symbols of the Christian Church and of life. From St. Pius X, we learn again that the folly of the cross, simplicity of life, and humility of heart are still the highest wisdom and indispensable conditions of a perfect Christian life, for they are the very source of all apostolic fruitfulness. From this divine place, we move on to Paris, the most populous city of France. Paris, one of the world's most beautiful cities and a vibrant, densely packed collection of villages where there is always something new to discover. Behind the grandiose palaces and boulevards, we can discover intimate courtyards and gardens. Behind historic facades are craft workshops and eminent research institutions. You couldn't possibly visit Paris without seeing the Eiffel Tower, which was once the tallest structure in the world and is probably Europe's best-known landmark and Paris's most famous symbol. Sacré-Cœur. It is hard not to feel as though you are climbing up to heaven when you visit Sacred Heart Basilica, the white castle in the city, perched atop Montmartre. It was consecrated in 1919 as one of the most iconic monuments in Paris. The panoramic view captures everyone's heart. Notre Dame Cathedral. Is the most stunning Gothic cathedral in the world and undoubtedly the most famous. The dramatic flowers, spire, stained glass and statuary will indeed behold your eyes. The highlights of the cathedral are the beautiful chandeliers and the brightly colored painted ceilings. Shrine of Miraculous Medal. Here you are at a pilgrimage site visited by many. In this chapel, the Blessed Virgin appeared to Saint Catherine, a seminary sister in the Daughters of Charity in 1830, in order to offer the world a medal. Church of Saint Vincent de Paul. The church dedicated to Saint Vincent de Paul is the chapel of the Vincentian Fathers. Upon entering the church, you'll notice the glass reliquary containing his body above the main altar. What you will see here is his skeleton covered with wax, giving him a very realistic appearance. His heart was taken and is now in the chapel of the Daughters of Charity at the shrine of the Miraculous Medal. Seine River Cruise. With so many Paris sights to see, Notre Dame, Eiffel Tower, etc. from the Seine River, Seine River Cruise is a must as Paris has embellished river banks, which creates a unique landscape. The Seine River is lined with beautiful quays and crossed by 37 bridges. Arsa. A name of commune comes from Arsa, meaning burned. Located on Doums Plateau, it's known for its many lagoons. It is the homeland of Saint Cure of Ars. Housed in the basilica, pilgrims can view his preserved body in a glass shrine. The saint's heart is enshrined in a smaller separate building known as the Shrine of the Cure's Heart. Now we shall visit the home of the Cure of Ars, which was preserved the way he left it. It contains the bed set on the fire by the devil, as well as the saint's rosary, breviary, library, and other personal items. New Basilica. New Basilica displays the preserved body of Saint Jean Vianney in a glass case. En route Lyon to Turin, we pass through high mountain terrain and the snow-covered peaks, which is a scenic beauty to be captured in our hearts and unforgettable. Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is a length of linen cloth claimed by some members of the Christian community to have been Jesus' death shroud. As seen by the naked eye, it is a negative image of a man with his hands folded. The shroud bears the image of a man with wounds similar to those suffered by Jesus. Milan. Duomo Cathedral is the heart of Milan and one of the largest, magnificent, striking, huge, pinnacled and gleaming Gothic cathedral. Its dazzling white front facade, arguably the world's most beautiful, dominates the cathedral square. The cathedral looks like a fairy tale wedding cake with an entire forest of spires that look like spun sugar. Padua. St. Mark's Basilica. The exterior of the basilica is quite ornate. The exterior is divided into 3 registers: lower, upper, and domes. The mosaics in the upper level arches depict stories from the life of Jesus. The one Above the central portal is the gilded mosaic known as the Last Judgment. Venice, the jewel of the Adriatic, is one of Europe's most beautiful and interesting cities. St. Mark's Basilica and Square, the Grand Canal, Doge's Palace, Bridge of Sighs, and the Rialto are the landmarks of Venice. Assisi, birthplace of Saint Francis, known as the City of Peace and the ecumenical meeting place of world religions. The intensity of the Franciscan spirituality and that of the other great saints can be perceived here. The Basilica of San Francisco d'Assisi is composed of two churches built one above the other. The lower basilica was painted by the greatest painters of 13th and 14th centuries. The upper basilica is adorned by Giotto's frescoes illustrating the life of Saint Francis. Beside the statue of Saint Francisco, the dove, which is the symbol of peace, is always seen. Coming up the stairs from the lower basilica, the visitor enters the upper basilica at the transept and choir, and a beautiful panoramic view of the city can be seen from the top. Porziuncola, meaning small portion of land, is a small church located within the Frazione of Santa Maria degli Angeli. It is the place where the Franciscan movement started. The simple prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi provides for us a mold in which to cast our own lives, conduct, and character. It provides a blueprint upon which to pattern our living in our thoughts, speech, and action within our day-to-day relationships with our fellow beings and with all life around us. The San Damiano cross is the one Saint Francis was praying before when he received the commission from the Lord to rebuild the church. The original cross presently hangs in St. Clare Church. All Franciscans cherish this cross as the symbol of their mission from God. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Rotondo, the shrine of Padre Pio, is the second most visited Catholic shrine in the world. Padre Pio is admired for his fervent love of Christ and the Virgin Mary. His most famous spiritual gift is the stigmata, which he received in 1918 while praying before a crucifix. He bore the 5 wounds of Christ's passions on his body as physical evidence of his sanctity. He was the first priest to receive the stigmata. People of all faiths sought him out for his spiritual guidance. After exhumation, his body was repaired and preserved for display. In the lower level of the Padre Pio Pilgrimage Church is the crypt for Padre Pio's remains. A curving hallway whose walls are covered with mosaics lead to the crypt. The mosaics depict events in Padre Pio's life, including his celebration of the Mass, his interaction with other monks, and Padre Pio kneeling in prayer in front of a crucifix while receiving the stigmata. Padre Pio's crypt has a ceiling made of golden ceramic tiles with indirect lighting that give a golden glow. Pilgrims stand in line to pass by Padre Pio's silver coffin lined with bezel settings encrusted with large precious stones of geometric shapes. Pilgrims offer their prayers and touch the coffin as they walk by. En route to Rome, we can see the change of terrain, hilltops, deep forests, and valleys that steal our hearts. On the Caelian Hill, San Giovanni in Lateran is the cathedral of the Diocese of Rome, of which Pope is the bishop. It is named the mother of all churches, dedicated to Jesus Christ and Saint John the Evangelist and John the Baptist. Scala Sancta consists of 28 marble steps. According to the tradition, the staircase leading once to the praetorium of the Pilate at Jerusalem, hence sanctified by the footsteps of our Lord during his passion on the way to his trial, was brought by Saint Helena, mother of Constantine the Great, to Rome from Jerusalem. Devout pilgrims still mount the steps on their knees praying. Now we visit Saint Mary Major, where we find relics of the manger from Bethlehem. Its bell is the tallest in Rome. The visual effect the crypt gives reminds us of the main events of the Christian faith: the birth of God's made man and his mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary. Basilica of St. Paul outside the wall. This sacred place of Christian pilgrimage was well known for its artistic works. Once inside this building, there is a real feeling that you are in a place of worship and somewhere quite peaceful and serene. The huge sculpted Easter candle stand is a masterpiece of Romanesque art. The 5.6 meter tall marble column is divided into 8 sections, all decorated with figures either showing biblical scenes or secular scenes, and figures including animals and plants. Also inside the church is a frieze with mosaic medallion portraits of all the popes. 4 side chapels contain important artworks. Vatican City. St. Peter's Basilica is a large church in Vatican City in Rome, called the greatest church in Christendom. It is believed to be the burial place of St. Peter, who was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. St. Peter was the first bishop of Rome. Papal audiences are held on Wednesday if the Pope is in Rome, giving pilgrims and visitors the chance to see the Pope and receive the papal blessing or apostolic blessing from the successor of the Apostle Peter during their visit. At the end of the prayer, the Pope imparts his apostle blessing upon the crowd, which also extends to loved ones that are sick and suffering, and blesses any religious articles such as rosary beads that people bring with them to get the blessing. We take a tour of the city of Rome, the Capitol Square, the magnificent view of the Colosseum, Arch of Triumph, the old destroyed Colosseum, arches of Constantine and Tito. Then we proceed to Catacombs, which is a tour of an amazing complex of underground tunnels with an unending number of crypts, tombs, and chapels. Comprised of 4 levels of burial passages, the Saint Sebastian Catacombs are believed to have once held the remains of their namesake, but he is now buried in the basilica above. Creepy but fun, it's certainly worth a look if you haven't seen any other catacombs on your trip to Rome. Florence. The gorgeous white cathedral in Pisa, Italy, is called the the Duomo, which is also called Saint Ranieri Cathedral. The cathedral itself is grand and has lots of beautiful details. The architecture and the design is amazing. The present gold-decorated ceiling carries the coat of arms of the Medici. The bell tower, or the Leaning Tower of Pisa, is located behind the cathedral. This tower was built to accommodate a total of 7 main bells, cast to the musical scale. We hope this movie gives you a beautiful and divine insight to the pilgrimage of Europe. Terminal Holy Tours. Terminal Holy Tours has been built to bring our beloved pilgrims closer to God. Not only that, but also to gain meaningful spiritual insight and seek physical or spiritual healing. By joining one of our pilgrimages, you will get an opportunity for thanksgiving and find room to forgive and find inner peace. The pilgrimage tour is not only about offering prayers, but discovering amazing places amidst nature, God's creation, and sharing thoughts and experiences with fellow travelers, irrespective of age, culture, and religion. Pilgrimages, viable means for growing in grace and gain some spiritual fulfillment along with divine guidance. The Terminal Holy Tours offer regularly scheduled pilgrimage departures and offering you first-class services at the best possible prices. Accommodation and food will be provided at premium hotels with the best amenities and cuisine. Brings in a great transformation in one's life through self-reflection to provide an opportunity for you to get away from your hectic day-to-day life. Everyone knows that God does honor that which we pray for. Having been blessed to see and hear many miracles and life transformations, it will be a great pleasure to cater to your wonders and petitions. Believe in us and rest assured that you will never be the same. Terminal Holy Tours Private Limited is a leading tour company specializing in organizing trips to the Holy Land. We are based in Bengaluru and are a subsidiary of Travel Terminal. We believe in providing you with the best opportunity for a divine encounter.